there's a lot
special teams missing extra points.
Yeah, the
kind of bugged me.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not a coach, but I mean, we should be putting those through pretty regular.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's, it's going to cost you towards the end of the game. Welcome to Lycomingfootball.com. John Green. We're talking to head coach Mike Clark, and it's the road to Albright. When I drive to Albright, it's like going down steps. You go this way, that way, this way, that way. I don't know how it is on the bus, but
yeah, John, it's when you look at a map, it doesn't look like a bad trip. And then when you take it on a bus, it's tougher than it looks. But yeah, we've gone a couple different ways, and quite honestly, I defer to the bus company, and we've gotten to the point where we just go Friday night, so it's not that big a deal.
Yeah. So you do go Friday, leave here around 5:30 or so?
Yeah, we're going to push it back a little bit. We'll do a normal Friday here, eat dinner on campus, and then probably leave by 6:15.
Okay. The last two times down there has been the Pretzel Bowl. We won both of those, and we seem to be the team that shows up for the Pretzel Bowl every year, at least 3 years in a row. So we'll be going for that again. I think I have a picture of you 2 years ago of you and Blake Bowman, I think. Maybe.
Oh, it was Craig. No, it was Craig. That was Craig, and then a couple years ago it was Kabongo.
Okay, well, I get,
Well, I hope it is Blake and I, so we love pretzels.
Yeah. So. Well, this is some start already. Albright, the winner of the MAC last year, is already 0-2.
Yeah.
That's it. The MAC's a tough league.
It is. Well, listen, they've
played some good teams.
They have. I mean, and so. No discredit to anybody we've played, but this will be the best team we play so far.
Yeah.
They're good. I mean, offensively, they have everybody back. They've turned the ball over some this year has been their issue, but Salisbury's another potential NCAA playoff team. Stevenson is trying to take the next step after playing in the MAC Centennial Bowl game last year. They're trying to take the next step and win a conference championship and try to get to the playoffs. And so Stevenson's good, and going to Albright and win, I think, is a big statement. But Albright held Stevenson under 300 yards, and Albright had over 400 yards of offense. So if they can, kind of like us, if they can eliminate mistakes, Albright's still a really good football team. They've just their schedule is not very friendly early, and I actually had this conversation with Coach Marsga. It doesn't get any easier after us. So it's our league is I think there's several very good teams in our league, and they're absolutely one of them.
Yep. I know they got into a rut where, and I think of it as like a tug of war. When your team is starting to pull that flag towards you, it's hard to get it to go the other direction. And so that momentum keeps going and going.
Yep.
And I think they got into one of those, and we did on Saturday. And I'll have to hand it to the defensive coaching. We had a score right close to the end of the first half, and then Kings came out and scored two more times quickly.
Yeah.
And it looked like the defense could have given up. But between those guys not giving up and the coaches keep motivating them, positive motivation, they pretty much shut Kings down the rest of the game, except for what I call that trick play at the end that really didn't matter. Is that what you saw? You kind of like what you saw there, didn't you, in the second half?
I mean, honestly, John, I was a little disappointed, when they came out and scored right away.
Yeah.
We made the decision to try to get a little bit of a spark offensively and go for it on 4th and 1, and then they capitalized. But you're right, we did get consecutive stops after that. We scored, then we got a stop, and then we scored again. So, I think at that point we made it a 6-point game. And then it was very back and forth, and offensively we just made too many mistakes. We were in Kings territory or had some big plays nullified by penalties that we just could never quite get back to being ahead. And, I was a little surprised late that Kings actually not that they tacked the last one on. That doesn't worry me. They could have just really taken it down to a one-score game with about 20 seconds left, and we had no timeouts. But they threw it, and then we hit the big play. And if we catch the first touchdown pass that we have our hands on, we could have been kicking on sides with 30 seconds left. So there's just collectively too many mistakes for us. You can't allow 41 points and win. You can't leave 5 points out there in the kicking game. We have to be better on both sides of the ball on third downs. There's a
Special
lot
teams missing extra points.
Yeah, the
kind of bugged me.
Yeah,
I'm not a coach, but I mean, we should be putting those through pretty regularly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's, it's going to cost you towards the end of the game. And
we've left in 2 weeks. We've had 6 points in PAT field goals that we've missed. One was just a bad kick. One is the O-line's fault. One is a snapper. So I think really, one was a bad snap. It's a lot of blame over.
There,
Absolutely. Yep. Yes.
Well, there's some highlights. I like the play of DJ Boyd, sophomore.
Yep.
You're doing a good job back there. And I think you have a couple wide receivers coming along. Maybe a surprise for me is Kyle, and I always slaughter his last name.
Slivka-Fralin.
Slivka-Fralin.
Yep.
By the end of the year, I might get that.
That's all right.
And he has 2 touchdowns, and he put a move on a Kings guy down the right end zone on the east side that got him in there.
Kyle's a very good player.
Yeah.
He played actually a little bit last year. He's a little more mature physically now. And there's no Ryan Umpleby, and there's no Pat Whalen, and so Kyle was a guy who kind of was always in the top 5 or 6 last year, but has really seized the opportunity and become a regular. He's basically one of our at this point, he's probably one of our 2 best. He and Nick are really, for sophomores, 2 pretty good players at that position.
I know Chase Whiteman is still great pass efficiency and putting on some yardage. He didn't have the best of games. I think he'd probably tell you.
Yeah.
He seemed to be a little off on his pinpoint accuracy compared to the last 4 or 5.
Yes and no. I mean, my initial reaction after the game last week was exactly that. And there were some throws he'd definitely like to have back. But there were also some balls that could have been caught where we weren't where we needed to be route-wise either, And so some of that is the wide receivers. When you look at the overall numbers, it's easy to dismiss it, and I did initially and think it was all Chase, but we had some routes. There are a handful of routes we need to clean up that easily could have been another 5 or 6 completions, which then makes you 22 for in the mid-30s instead of 17 for 39. It drastically changes the picture. A couple penalties nullified, big plays by Chase. So he certainly wasn't great, but it wasn't all him.
Yeah. I know when you see a pass go and there's no one around, a lot of times it isn't the quarterback, it's someone didn't finish their route.
Yeah, so I think that some of it was routes, some of it was Chase, and look, some of it's the offensive line. He got hit when he had to make some throws the other day more than he should have, and we've talked about all those things. It's hard to stand back there and be accurate anytime. It's another thing to do it when you're getting hit, and we didn't get sacked a ton. I mean, we were sacked 3 times, but he was hit more than that, and so I think all of those variables, led to a below-average passing day for us.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of fun to play down. Albright has a great facility down there, similar to ours, and it's always a good game. And wish you luck Saturday. I'm going down early myself and scout around and see you on the field there at 1 o'clock at Albright Field. I'm not sure what it's called. But it's a 1 o'clock start.
It's a 1 o'clock start, and we have our hands full, but we're excited. I mean, John, this is a test for us to figure out if we can continue to improve, and if our guys want to, try to hang in here, right? We certainly don't want to be 2 games out of first place 2 weeks in.
Yeah.
So we're going to do our best to fight and claw and make it a game. I think we'll compete. We're not thrilled with the result the other day, but we're going to go down there and try to win the football game. We need to. So we need this one. So we're gonna get it.
I've seen a lot of fight towards the end of the game, sparks that maybe I didn't see last year early, and I'm looking for a great game from Lycoming.
We're going to try.
So.
Absolutely. Thanks, John.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.